Why hello there! If by any chance you haven't played in Cataclysm and you're like, hey, what am I supposed to do in Vortex Pinnacle in Season 2 of Dragonflight? Welcome! This is the complete and up-to-date and ultimate and everything you need Mythic Plus guide for the Vortex Pinnacle. Because the dungeon has suffered some changes since Cataclysm all the way to right now, and we'll cover everything you need to time the key at whatever level or whatever affix, alright? And as always, you know we have to give a special shout out to the Patreons who are supporting these Mythic Plus guides. Thank you guys so much for making this possible. They're a ton of work to make, but nevertheless, we love doing them, and hopefully it will help out a lot of you out there watching this. Check the link in the description, patreon.com/Marcelian&Online, so you can get some cool, awesome wallpapers with your WoW character, or have access to like bloopers or the Patreon exclusive podcast and many other stuff. Now let's go! The route options here are pretty limited. If you want to go for the straightforward one, the packs along the way will get you the percentage you need to finish the key. You can even skip one pack of stairs on your way to the last boss. Starting the dungeon, you are greeted by a pack of storm elementals formed of a gust soldier, an armored mistral, and a wild vortex. Boy, these vortexes have grown up since Cataclysm, haven't they? The soldiers cast Rushing Wind, charging towards a player and dropping a dispellable magic debuff on them, dealing nature damage every second for 7 seconds. The Mistrals cast Cloud Guard, blocking all attacks from the front, so RP as a rogue and hit them from behind. Their second attack is Pressurized Blast, forming a large AoE circle around them which deals a lot of damage and knocks you up, so make sure to run out of it quickly. The Vortexes cast Cyclone, a CC which will make its target float around in a whirlwind for a while, making them immune to damage. This is a cast you can interrupt or even spell reflect if it gets cast on a warrior. Now I know what you're thinking, why would I want to make the trash immune to attacks? Well, you generally don't, but it may be useful in some situations or affixes perhaps? I don't know what mad tactics people are going to cook up, okay? Either way, if the cast goes through, it's a magic debuff, so your healer will be able to dispel it if he has the time. Best protection is prevention though. So interrupt. Wind bolts are their other casts, and they also go on random party members, and they are also interruptible. Passing the first bridge, you'll run into a lurking tempest. This little scary cat is going to pretend it's dead as soon as you look at him. When no one is looking, he will cast Lethal Current at the group, dealing large amounts of damage. We recommend just giving them the stink eye and ignoring them otherwise. If you attack them, they sometimes keep you and your pets in combat for quite some time. Continuing along the path, you will encounter more of the same mobs until you reach a Cloud Prince. Now, these majestic elementals have also evolved quite a bit since their heroic days in Cataclysm and have gained new abilities like this large AoE circle, placed under one of your party members, generally arranged, which will deal damage to anyone in it and knock them up. The Prince also channels Turbulence, trying to push your group away and dealing large amounts of damage, so if you seem to have trouble surviving it, pop a defensive and maybe a healing potion. You may want to save some of these for the double Prince pack right before the first boss though. The first boss in here can be pretty tough if you miss too many interrupts on his lightning bolts while dealing with the rest of his mechanics. First off, when you enter the room, notice the pretty drawings on the floor and don't stand in the big circles. As the boss gets pulled, he will spawn a cyclone in each of them, and if you're in the wrong position, they will spawn on you, dealing large amounts of damage and giving you the Cyclone Shield debuff, reducing your haste by 30%. They will also continuously move, so don't be in between them. The best spot to be in is in between the cyclones and the boss, in the inner circle, for a while at least. While you are in there, you will not take taken damage. Also, during this phase, windy orbs will travel around the room, and you got to dodge them like you do with the cyclones. If you don't, then again, you will take damage and get the Cyclone Shield debuff. The boss will occasionally retract her Cyclone Shield and try to trap you inside. everyone needs to safely walk out in between the cyclones without touching them and get to the outer circle. This will cause your group to take large amount of damage every second through Storm's Edge. Pop defensives and healing CDs on a rotation for this mechanic and keep the boss interrupted as much as possible. Ertan will also summon Lurking Tempest, the scary elementals we met before. Just be sure to look nastily at them every once in a while to strike fear into their windy hearts and make them think twice before attacking you. This is also automatically done if your group is spread around the boss, looking at her from different directions so that all areas of the room are visually covered. Once you get this boss down, go up the stairs and take the slipstream here to travel to the next area. This is also your first available skip if you happen to die somewhere in the dungeon. From the entrance, you'll be able to click the slipstream on the left-hand side here, which will bring you to this new platform. Moving on to new enemies to kill, here on the stairs we encounter packs of Turbulent Squalls, which insta-cast Storm Shield, absorbing damage taken, and while the shield holds, they also deal nature damage to enemies. This is purgeable, so it's pretty nice to have a mage around as they cannot not only dispel it but also use it against other trash mobs. They also cast Cloudburst, dealing heavy AoE damage, so make sure to keep this interrupted. The next pack is formed of 2 Empyrean Assassins, which will occasionally teleport to a player and deal moderate damage with Assassinate. Their other ability is Vapor Form, reducing their damage taken by 90% for 10 seconds. This is also interruptible, but you can purge it off of them. Up here we will also run into a young Storm Dragon, who will cast Healing Well when entering combat. This is a large green bubble he places on the floor, which will heal anyone standing in it by 5% every second they stand inside, so be sure to pull all the trash out of it if you ever plan on killing them at least. You can have your entire party stand in the healing well while your tank keeps the trash right outside. The dragon will also cast Ice Buffet, dealing AoE damage and leaving an Icy Buffet dot on your party members, dealing frost damage. His last ability is Chilling Breath, targeting a group member and casting this frontal at them, dealing damage to everyone standing in it. Either sidestep it or just stand in the well of endless health. The healbot pool will despawn when the Drake dies, so we're expecting crazy tactics next MDI using this mechanic to stay alive. The next bridge used to be guarded by 2 windy orbs, the Howling Gales, which would try to keep you from moving forward by pushing you back when you get close. In the new version, however, you now have a pack of mobs which you already learned how to deal with. Across the bridge, the next packs are formed of the same trash mobs we previously discovered as well, so all you need to learn here is your tank's limits to how much they can pull, as you will have another healing well for your group as long as the dragon stays alive. We finally reached your next boss. Altairus has the winds on his side as well, and as soon as you pull him, you will start passively taking damage from his biting cold, while simply being in his presence. He will also spawn a cold front around the room, and anyone who touches these edges will take heavy frost damage. This also reduces your healing done if you happen to be the healer, so just don't be on the edges. When the boss is pulled, the room will also fill with the twisting winds, which, if touched, will boop you up into the air and deal damage. You can simply find a safe spot away from them or just move away if they dance near you. You will need to stay somewhat near one, however, as you will be using these later on in the fight. When a downburst forms, this will start expanding outwards. The ring will silence anyone it touches, and it will place a dot on them. It is very important to dodge this, especially if you're the healer, so make sure you're healed up, otherwise pop on defensive, and jump into a twister, thus jumping over the silencing ring. Easy gaming! The boss also casts Chilling Breath, a frontal cone targeted at one of your party members, so you should move out of the way until the cast is over. The most important mechanic of this fight is perhaps the Call the Wind. This will affect you in a positive or negative way depending on your position in relation to the boss. If you are upwind of Altairus, aka between where the winds come from and the boss, you will gain the green upwind debuff, granting you 30% haste. If you stand downwind from the boss, meaning that the boss is between you and where the wind is blowing from, you will have the red downwind debuff, decreasing your haste by 30% and dealing ticking frost damage. Occasionally, the winds will also shift on Altairus' command, so you may need to change your positioning a couple of times during this fight. Just remember to dodge the twisters on your way. Once he is defeated, a new slipstream will be available to take you to the last area of the dungeon. This is also the second area skip in here, which will open from the entrance as well, and you can use it by taking the right-hand side slipstream there. We're finally done with wind elementals and dragons, and now we run into the weird cat people. We have the executors of the Caliph, the temple adepts, and the servants of Asaad. Some of the pack composition has been changed here for M+, as spells have been adjusted to different mechanics, so don't be confused if you remember some of these being a bit different. The temple adepts cast Holy Smite, an interruptible cast, so make sure it doesn't go through, but more importantly, interrupt their greater heals, as they restore a buttload of health to the mobs and they will just spam cast it if allowed. The executors of Caliph cast Rally, increasing the health of all their allies for 20 seconds if it goes through, so keep this under control as well. Next up, Crashing Stone. This will stomp the ground and deal AoE physical damage, so make sure everyone is healed up for it. Lastly, the servants of Asaad do a Sure Strike, dealing physical damage to their target. They also occasionally charge their targets. Now to the big dam. In the next pack, upstairs you encounter a new mob, the Minister of Air, who casts Lightning Lash, an attack channeled on a player which unfortunately can no longer be interrupted, so deal with it by popping big defensives, healing like a madman, or the easy mode, staying safely hidden in the immunity areas.
We interrupt this program to bring you a special report on some breaking news. If you have a warrior, he can spell reflect the Lightning Lash, having the mob cast that shit on itself. And now, back to our regular program.
What immunity areas? Oh, these, right up here. The grounding fields provide spell immunity to anyone standing in them, players and trash, so tanks, please kite the packs out so your casters can also deal the damage and everyone else move in if you're targeted. Ranged players used to be able to just hang in here all the time, but now the Ministers of Air also cast Overload Grounding Field, causing it to, well, overload and deal large amounts of damage to anyone standing in it. When you see this being cast, step out of the field until the channel is over. Priests can even do shenanigans on these packs with mind control, having the packs kill off their friends. Next we have a pack of peaceful, nicely stacked little Skyfall stars, until you get close to them and they start moving apart, flowing around the area and shooting starlight at your party members, dealing loads of damage. The trick here is to have everyone ready to start blasting them down in the first few seconds before they have time to drift apart and cast too much. You can even incap Roar, Vortex, or stun them into position. However, we generally choose to skip this pack by walking on the outer edge of this pillar right here. Be careful with your pets, because if you jump on the pillar here, the pets will decide to go around the inner side, getting you in combat. It's not a big deal for hunters and night elves, but you know, it's easy to avoid, so just don't jump. The next two packs are pretty big, so some form of CC on the adepts may help in high fortified keys, and if you lack a CC, you can also line of sight them up the stairs to stack them up better. Most of the other mobs are immune to CCs, unfortunately. Kill your last pack of stars and meet Asaad, the last boss. Asaad, Caliph of Zephyrs, is again a storm-themed encounter. He has a chain lightning cast dealing damage to everyone standing in his circle, and there's not much else you can do about this other than just spread out. The ability you can do something about is his Static Cling. an attack which can easily be avoided if you simply jump as he finishes his cast. Basically, don't touch the floor as he makes it static. Failing to jump will result in a 90% movement speed reduction for 18 seconds, which can be removed with the usual magic dispels or shapeshifting, disengaging, hand of freedom, and so on. And really, the slow wouldn't have been much of a problem if it weren't for his next mechanic, Unstable Grounding Field, where he starts channeling a magic immunity zone similar to the ones we encountered during the trash, and when the third side of the triangle connects, he teleports on top of it and starts channeling Supremacy of the Storm, which will pretty much kill anyone left outside of the safe zone. Don't try to min-max, just get safe. Asaad will also periodically summon Skyfall Nova. These are again little stars, which hurt, and this time they also have quite a lot of health. The Nova will be summoned at a random place around the room, and it will start pulsating arcane damage every second it's alive. If you ignore it, this will probably wipe you, especially if you get multiple Novas, so swap to them and kill them off quickly. And if you manage to do all of that, you're golden! Congratulations! Vortex Pinnacle will be a breeze in any key level or affix, right? I really hope this was helpful, and if it was, let me know in the comments. As always, thank you Patreon for making these Mythic Plus guides possible. Remember, patreon.com/Marcelian&Flame is the place to check out how you can support this content anyway. It's not required, but we have to mention, some of the production here. At least the Mythic Plus guides are 100% supported by you lovely folk. So thank you, and thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next guide. We'll have guides for every dungeon available in Season 2, alright? Bye!
Loving it then, I still love it now. Still, I play WoW. Still, I play WoW. Getting better every day, let me show you how. Cause still, I play WoW. Still, I play WoW. It's getting harder to stay, but at the end of the day, it's a guilty pleasure, so just log in and play. Whether it's classic or retail, I'ma do a /bow. Still, I play WoW.